Heavenly Father, give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so that we can voice your words. Heavenly Father, in my time of flesh and with your breath, give me grace to speak the words that voices your goodness in my being. I ask you this through your living Son, Jesus Christ, with whom you reign in the unity of the Holy Spirit. Yes, a good afternoon. A good afternoon to you, dear brothers and sisters on the African continent. I hope all is well with you by the grace of our Heavenly Father, being the master architect of all living and non-living things. We glorify His presence in our lives. We are so grateful that we are still breathing, and thus we are still strategizing to make ways in order to attain those things that our heart desires the most, and to maintain that which we are supposed to maintain, that is the love of humanity, the discernment to see the goodness in all creatures fashioned by God. So brothers and sisters, the more we embrace God, the more we get closer to attain that spiritual elevation that comprehends the purpose on all manifested things. So brothers and sisters, Bob the Mechanic here again on this 28th day of March year 2026 in our continued effort to demand the unconditional release of all political prisoners, to demand the whereabouts of the 20 missing Ugandans. Brothers and sisters, it has been too long asking for justice, but to no avail in its essence. So brothers and sisters, we continue demanding the whereabouts of the 20 Ugandans, citizens of Uganda, taxpayers' money, people who had family, people who were working so very hard to make ends meet such that their family can live a happy life. But Mr. Museveni did not see any goodness in that. He went on to issue directives, and these people were captured, and to this date nobody knows their whereabouts. So brothers and sisters, it is unthinkable that us, people who are still breathing, people who are still eating warm food, can choose silence amidst the oppression. What we are what we are asking of you, global citizens, it is to ask Mr. Museveni, where are the 20 missing Ugandans? Why are these people are still being in cancellation? We want you, global citizens. We don't want you, but we are asking you to be a helping voice in demanding for the unconditional release of all political prisoners. It has been too long. Yesterday, we saw the deputy spokesperson of National Unity Platform, civic educator, Sir Alex Waiso Mufumbiro, banging the table, showing that indeed justice delayed, it is justice denied. We are all wondering what is the causation of this delay in the verdict or the trials to be heard. There is no excuse whatsoever, brothers and sisters. So the only option we have left with, it is to bang the table, to approach things in a different perspective out of the ordinary. Brothers and sisters, this is a state-sponsored persecution of its political opponents. No criminality whatsoever is traced in this individual. Sir Alex Waiso Mufumbiro, a man who is always in the public domain, there is no way that the deceit, if he committed one at all, would take so much time to trace, to investigate, and a thorough docket to be presented before the court. But they are tired. They are tired. They are tired. Why are they taking them up and down when the laws are there? It is not that Mr. Museveni and his regime are very strong. This is prolonged because of the complaisance of the legal fraternity in Uganda respectively. The legal fraternity, they are legitimizing unjust laws to be amidst the society. Why would a man say that stop persecuting us if you don't give us a fixed date, that our hearings should commence on that particular date? We are not coming back to this house or rooms of courts, because this is persecution, this is political persecution. Sir Alex Waiswa Mufumiro asserted his voice, and it is justifiable even to the people, the so-called learned people. So please, let us act and approach out of the ordinary such that we can overcome the hindrance within the judicial system. Learned people, it is a fact that currently you are all aware that the entire judicial system, it is grappling with 160,000 backlog cases, not because of the unavailability of men and women in the judicial system. No, it is because the states wants to incarcerate people with no crime whatsoever. And it is fearful that once they are presented before the courts of law, they will be released, and the state will stand a liability to compensate this individual. Thus, they chose that they should continue confining people illegally, plus the torturing of them, leave alone the psychological torture that comes, that continues to disintegrate families. Mr. Museveni, he is a man who never wished anything good to be in the society of Uganda. If indeed Museveni was a leader, he wouldn't be persecuting young men and women who are in the position to be their grandchildren. And sometimes, by means of a wicked influence, you hear him addressing young men as Bazukulu, oh, my grandchildren. But tell me, who is that grandfather that will persecute a grandchild? Where is the pride of an elderly person? Isn't it found in the joyfulness and the vibrance of his great-grandchildren? Mr. Museveni, where do you find the joy? Janet Museveni, where do you find the happiness? Where do you find the happiness seeing the grandchildren of others rotting in jail? The bones of those whose lives you claimed on concocted charges, trumped-up charges, those whose lives were claimed by means of poison, having ordered your agents to supply them. Oh, Janet Museveni, Kataha Museveni, Yoweri Museveni Kaguta, Mr. Salim Saleh, Georgia Kandwa Naho, Moise Kainerugaba, you have fathered children. Moise Kainerugaba, you have fathered children, and you are not certain whether your children will be as ferocious as you are when it comes to materialistic accumulation. Mr. Museveni, you were not certain that your children will never be as cunning as you were, only to find out that the strategies you yourself, you thought you had pioneered, have been vulgarized by your very own offspring, who has been a liability to the coffers of Uganda, having educated a same person who is now the source of all misery, having provided all and everything through your family. Mr. Museveni, these are the people that are tormenting Ugandans. Fellow Ugandans, this continues to happen in the face of religious leaders, in the face of Uganda's legal fraternity, or Uganda's, Uganda's Bar Association, Uganda's, Law Society. All of these irregularities, all of these discrepancies continues to unfold because of their complacence, because of their selfishness, pursuing goals of accumulating worldly possessions. Brothers and sisters, the legal fraternity did not stand out of the crowd in that reverberating voice to speak when Museveni started persecuting the rights of the non-governmental organization, the non-profitable organization. When Museveni started persecuting them, Uganda Law Society did not come out in a voice that intimidates a dictate which contradicts the Constitution, but rather they chose to comply. Its president, Uganda Law Society, is in exile. But prior to that, we received information that the president was under coercion and he was willing to give in such that he can create a confusion and another figure would come out to compete with the presence of Kyagulanyi Ssentamu on the political scene. But as time went on and as information or security alert schemes to come to the public domain, some individuals refrained from the planned confusion by the state. So we have this benefit of doubt in his advocacy towards the restoration of justice in Uganda because of that security alert and the sarcastic banging of the table of his, of which he used to profess. Thus, the philosophy and the teachings in a Baconian spectroscope reminded us that it is not about what we read, but what we remember makes us learned people. Uganda Legal Fraternity, Uganda Law Society, the things that you do, the methods of application you choose in the many seems to be perpetuating dictatorialism and that which is unjust. Till I say to you, we rarely hear you reminding Ugandans that indeed Mr. Museveni started at the inception of his murderous regime, that law is not always synonymous with justice. Mr. Museveni pointed out that according to the nature of the state, in any given society, law can be an instrument of justice, an instrument of oppression, and an instrument of exploitation. Is that in all political, historical events, law has been manipulated or used by the minority to oppress the majority. This is what Museveni does exactly. But Uganda Law Society, vibrant as they are, exposed in matters of constitutionalism and social justice as they are, but they choose silence because they were promised that we are going to make you well off. So you better not advocate for the majority because you cannot save the world. So they thought and conceived that very, very lame excuse and shallowness of perception. Legal Fraternity, we are confronting you in good faith. And you know where we come from. Is that we were not educated into matters of law. And we are not envious that you are vastly informed in the said field. No. But what perturbs us and gives us sleepless nights, it is the choices you chose in all those that are available. You choose to profess light, but you practice that which is given to you in darkness. In darkness. I will not stick to Isaac Semakade that much, but I will go to my brother, the one I esteem in his service while rendering before the general public. That is Council Muyezi. Council Muyezi. Council Mwadanko Nyenji. Council Joel Senyonyi. Council Musisi. Council Nalukola. For how long shall we comply? For how long must we conform to unjust laws? For how long must we conform to unjust laws? Oh, dear leadership, we are just going mad in our minds. Is that you still hold Museveni's dictates with the softness that actually propels you to be perceived as people of good for nothing because of your softness, is that you cannot even stand your ground and be determined to incur the ill will that comes with the responsibility of leadership. We can feel that the pace on which our struggle was It is somehow being retarded because of that conventionalism. We are not saying you should act in accordance to our perception because we are limited and we are not vastly informed in matters of law. But there are those basics which can be deployed, in terms of abnormality. There is no such a thing as the functionality of the judiciary in Uganda. Those are facts on the ground. They do not need, philosophical understanding for a layman to comprehend that indeed there is no much we can attain from Museveni-controlled courts, well knowing that he sworn in illegally the so-called Chief Justice out of the confines of the regulatory bodies. A man was sworn in Museveni's private property. Needless to mention that it was extorted from the people, right? And yet you confirm and you continue to address these controlled judges as your worship, your lordship, your nonsensical, your motherfucking shit, whatever that is there to portray the homage, the respect given to a person that renders justice, which is not the case in Uganda. What we mean, judges were educated, but they do not serve in accordance to that which was imparted in them at Law Development Center. What you do right now contradicts what my God was trying to enforce into us, that indeed everything is attainable through education. We are not rejecting that fact that education is the key, because it opens all spiritual understanding, it opens all mental faculties, and it opens all social cohesion and the comprehension of manifested things. It all comes with education. But education varies respectively, because philosophy reminds us that charity begins at home. So the charity imparted in a child on that basic ground determines the performance of a child when the special knowledge extracted from higher learning institution intertwined with the charity that was imparted from home. Now, imagine that Mr. Charles Peter Mayiga, who seems to be advocating for the presence and the continuation of the current education system, whereby he stated that he hears some narratives that education, it is not that of a vital into one who's actually living of a life of a peace. I agree with you on that, but you did not speak that out of good faith. You are driving some kind of outdated political rhetoric, because as we speak, the education system in Uganda does not encourage imagination, but rather indoctrination. Thus, philosophy reminded us that an education that deprives one from imagination is an indoctrination, which is detrimental. Tell me, Mr. Charles Peter Mayiga, according to your performance thus far into that public office, give us the goodies that have come with your performance. Give us some fruits on which we can stand and eternalize that which you are speaking right now as I speak. Because you are on a certain school, delivering a speech, encouraging students, but the thing you do does not reflect the words you are speaking currently at this juncture. Mr. Charles Peter Mayiga, you are a lawyer. You are a lawyer. You are a lawyer. And you did not say something when Mr. Museveni deployed his military illegally at the premises of Kyagulanyi Center. They vandalized his property. They encroached the presidential limitations. They encroached all the military and security operatives limitations. They overrided the Supreme Court. My guy, you did not say something yet you have the guts and the firm ground to stand on and encourage people in education. Where are the fruits of education? Tell me, when Nsibambi, a renowned lawyer and a lecturer, betrays an ideology he has been driving for the past 20 years. Now tell me, if that individual with such a vacillative character is worth to emulate or worth emulating. No, he does not. I'm not asking you to seek knowledge from you. No, this is a constructive criticism. My brother Charles Peter Maiga, my brother Charles Peter Maiga, it is you who continues to conceal Mr. Museveni's deeds because you do not call him to order, yet you administer the affairs of the greatest kingdom on the continent of Africa. That is Buganda Kingdom. Charles Peter Maiga, what we are saying is that the Muyizi, a young man who would have seen what you did in the past and they would have acted in accordance, they are all being impaired because of your complacence and because of your trying so very much clandestinely to coerce cultural leaders to be quiet. Brothers and sisters, there was a teacher of mankind by the names of Manly P. Hall, who in his treatise on humanism, on a religious spectroscope, indicated with a school of thought, saying that when the mob governs, man is ruled by ignorance. And when the church governs, man is ruled by superstition. And when the state governs, man is ruled by fear. And he further indicated that before man is able to live in peace, in harmonious peace, he must turn that ignorance into applied knowledge. Applied knowledge, not an indoctrinated knowledge. So this one here comes in a philosophical way, is that philosophy, it is a field that impels man to ponder over the things which are observable, right? So you start to weigh the knowledge from Charles Peter Maiga's mental faculty, and you weigh the knowledge from Council Muyizi's understanding, and you weigh the knowledge from Mr. Kazimba Mugalu or Kayanja or Segwada, for that matter, right? Now he says that if we turn ignorance into applied knowledge in relation to the gangsters or the mob that is governing us, we're going to be able to free ourselves from the predicament of the gangsters whose cardinal pillar is to erode all democratic tendencies and the rule of law out of our society, right? Now we go to a theologian or a religious. When the church rules or governs, man is ruled by superstitions. Brothers and sisters, he said that up until man turns that superstition that comes with the theologian into illuminate faith, illuminate, that is to illuminate the light from the sun, the courage to question a theologian when he is diverting you, and you yourself, the Christ power to give you courage to read the Bible, not a theologian to speak the words that discourage you not to read the Bible to yourself, but rather to listen to what he has to say and you follow suit. So, by turning superstition that comes with the theologian into illuminated faith, that is when you start to read the Bible, and God will give you grace to interpret it in accordance to the predicament or to the goals in pursuant. You feel me, homie? Now, when the state governs, man is governed or ruled by fear. So, by turning fear into the love of your country, into that charity which was imparted in you at the infancy stage, when you were young, when you were taught how to greet every single morning, when you were taught how to sweep the yard before you go to extract special knowledge from the school, when you were taught that you wash the plates and hang them on a katandalo, when you were taught that you must clean a toilet before you go, you must cover a toilet before you leave. That is the charity that determines one's performance in conjunction with education extracted from higher learning institution. If somebody misses the charity from home, it doesn't matter how many degrees in their PhD one holds. When he does not apply the charity that begins at home into that doctorate, the doctorate won't amount to anything in terms of benefiting the society. You understand? So when we turn the love of our country into the familiarization of the Constitution being championed and pioneered by National Unity Platform, Museveni having successfully abolished political science and civic education, and he was never questioned by all law lecturers in Makerere University, in Uganda Law Society, and in all civil organizations. So National Unity Platform said that in order to overcome dictatorial mentality, we have to go back to the drawing board. And they did so, fulfilling the vision of Thomas Sankara that living a foot soldier without political education, you are turning him into a potential criminal. 40 years down the road, Museveni having abolished political education, you can see the society that it is degenerating, disintegrating into anarchism, into fiefdomship, whereby that Christopher Damulira is given a leverage. He is not attacked or confronted by Uganda Law Society as in why does he waste taxpayers' money in indoctrinating the ghetto youth. That is the education perhaps Charles Peter Maiga is referring to, right? That is the education Charles Peter Maiga is referring to, because it deprives an individual that sense of imagination. That if I continue attacking elderly people because Salimu Saleh and Damulira wants it to be so, what about if other people are being trained in other regions to attack my mother where I'm not right now? So that sense of imagination would have allowed a ghetto child not to be dragged into such society misfit, but it was erased by Museveni capturing of the spiritual institution. That is why now the church, it governs its people under superstitions as opposed to the tenets, precepts, axioms of religious, the teachings of Jesus Christ. Religious these days in Uganda does not show the people that they have everything in them, is that the only spiritual understanding it is to be extracted from these considered as administrators of godly justice to impart into an individual such that he can see the way and figure out what was God's intention to give him a soul, to give him a spirit and a mind in this age. So spiritual understanding or attainment elevates the mind in reasoning. In reasoning, when you go back to the legal fraternity, as foot soldiers, and through our fragmentary extraction of knowledge pertaining matters of leadership, it has come to our realization that in the judicial system, when it is executing its mandates, it must often use deductive reasoning, whereby they go behind previous cases and therefrom they deduct the process in searching to reach a verdict in any given current case. But in the case of Uganda, deductive reasoning in rendering justice was premeditated, whereby precedents were set by Museveni to help him in the next presidential election or in any other general election, right? Is that the policy, I should call it a policy because there is no law in Uganda, but these which seems to be as laws, these are policies that are meant to keep Mr. Museveni's murderous regime afloat, right? So when you look at the Public Management Act, that creed was passed and signed into law to manage and control the minds of those competing for leadership in Uganda, right? Now as we speak, that Mr. Museveni dragged individuals, enthusiasts of National Unity Platform, supporters of National Unity Platform, subscribers of National Unity Platform, and well-wishers of its being afloat. He dragged them into military court to set a precedent is that no any other person who dare to follow a political ideology in its sproutiness or germination, as it is the case with the National Unity Platform, having been formed by people power, which is the voice that is well enshrined in Article 1, Uganda's constitution, that power belongs to the people. When the people dares to assert that article, Museveni responds with weapons, guns, intimidation. Brothers and sisters, did you think about it? What prompted the former head of state of Botswana, Honorable His Excellency Ian, when he stated that, I feel so bad when young people of Africa are being treated by the elites as third-class citizens. When they demand their voices to be heard, they are promised with lengthy jail sentences. This is what Museveni does. That is what Museveni's indoctrinated stooge, Samia Suluhu, does. This is what Mr. Museveni's agent, William Ruto in Kenya, does. Anybody who dares to open their minds and encourage people to think critically is meted up with brutality, end up 6 feet deep, or maimed and thrown behind bars. So we are saying that all of these things are happening, and those who execute them, they are not that powerful, but they successfully managed to cripple the rationalistic mind of these learned people. That is why each day that comes on, there is a ditch or a trench that is being dug automatically between our acceptance of their being learned people, or they were just being educated, but they failed to learn. Because if you cannot remember what you learned to be applied in any given situation, is that law must be applied equally. And that the Constitution says that once it comes to your realization that somebody does this to suffocate the law, I'm impelled to mobilize the masses to go and defend the Constitution. They have failed to do that, not because they don't know it's applicable, but because they were promised in the dark Remember, fellow Ugandans, ASP Asime, whose information is undoubted, Teacher Kajubirumbuye, whose information it is always in confirmation, said that more than 30 members of National Inter-Platform Members of Parliament received the money, and the reason why they were delayed to be announced or declared as winners, they were held on a ransom and they were made to sign that we can announce you after you sign that you're going to be pro Museveni's progress, Museveni's policies and everything that comes through Anita Among or Taeba, and now the incoming Nobati Mao, right? So we see that this is all meant to perpetuate a mind that only focuses on an individualistic merit. If it wasn't that notion, there is no way the military would have spent 2 months at the residence of Kyagulanyi Ssentamu without seeing a fracas, a demonstration, a nasty demonstration by learned people, by political organizers, and all sinful Ugandans, especially the elites, because it was theirs to do. They know exactly that they are protected by the Constitution. Thus, Plato said that we can easily forgive a child to be afraid of the dark, but the real tragedy of life is when men fear the light. Tell me, Uganda Legal Fraternity, is your silence does not symbolizes your fearfulness of the light? Yet you walk in the darkness, you creep in the motherfucking trenches, going to get something to eat from Museveni. You think they will never be revealed. To your detriment, ASP, Teacher Kajubi, respectively, they are there. They are there to strip you naked. We're gonna see your balls. We're gonna see the crookedness of your dicks. Truly, we said to you that we are grappling with Museveni, not because he is powerful, not he is a fighter as he claimed. No, it is because of your greediness. It is because of your fearfulness. It is because that you fear to lose. Everybody, every single one of you who went in a deal with Museveni, and the money was deposited on your account, it's on a public domain, that you can no longer access your account, and that each and every activity you do, you are on a snap of a finger of Museveni. Till I said to you, 3 of you, cross relatives, biological brothers, you received the money to officiate Mr. Museveni's stolen election. 3 of you, ASP Asime, withheld your names, but as time goes on, he will release them. He will release them. 3 of you, biological brothers, you're trying to betray the light of Ugandans. The light of Ugandans. Till I said to you, brothers and sisters, let us denounce wickedness in the broad daylight. Let us not play around with Museveni. Let us eradicate conventionalism that seems to be hijacking the struggle. Obama, in his book, Promised Land, he asked, is it a sign of success when the large portion and the crucial one of our struggle is being absorbed by conventional politicians, or is it a sign that our struggle has been hijacked? What did the protesting of Sir Alex Royce from Fumbiro mean to you yesterday? What did that mean to you? What did that mean to you? Didn't it mean that you have to follow suit? Olivia Lutaya, Doreen Kaija. These people are languishing in jail, yet you have the voice to free them. You have the voice and you have the lungs to scream to the top of it. My brothers and sisters, these people seems to be compliant to Mr. Museveni's dictates in the courts. They are all working in the interests of Audrey Karujire and Flavian Nzeija.
Brothers and sisters, these legal people are quiet. But Mr. Museveni is planning a military coup. And we all know, we were informed 6 months ago that Mr. Museveni planned a coup. And in that coup, he has to terminate or to assassinate all his political opponents, whether in jail or outside. Because it is going to be chaotic when the coup starts, right? So Alex Waisom Fumbiro, he's in prison. Do you expect him to survive that? Why don't we do something prior to this? Why don't we pressurize the man? Why don't we pressurize him? Let us not give him a chance to organize the coup d'etat. He is willing to kill our brothers and sisters. Do you think Eddie Muto will survive if Museveni starts a coup d'etat? I'm not saying your ultimate security belongs to them, but if you do something, we can curb that from happening. We can curb it. That is the reason why security alerts are brought to the general public on the public domain. Museveni to refrain from doing so. But if we give him that sense of breath, he uses this as a privilege to execute all diabolical plots. They are being brought to the public domain, but you do not respond upon them. Do you expect that Mr. Museveni, he is going to touch you that you are speaking things which are not founded? No, whatever it is in the court, it is not founded. It is based on trumped-up charges. Why shouldn't we act in the same way such that we can overcome this obstacle that you have maneuvered from all directions? From all directions. We have seen, we have appreciated that. Why can't we change it? Let us change it. Let us change it. Let us change it. The people of Uganda did not take to the street. Me, I knew. A leadership, I mean a revolutionary without a leader is a dead one at inception. Don't tell me that people of Uganda would have poured on the street without the voice of the elected leaders. Then what was the purpose of casting the ballot in the box? It is to single out leaders to lead the constituencies into the desired end. That is the exertion of Article 1. Tell me one constituent that can start claiming that without a leader, yet they singled him or her out of the many. I don't believe that a protestive vote would have been started by normal people without the what? The protection from the Constitution. Museveni would have killed people recklessly. He does it. How about if they dare to stand without a leader? I stand to be corrected, but me, I have that feeling that Ugandans did not come to the street because they lacked leadership. They lacked it there. And information, Kajubi and Asime, indicates that you are all going to legitimize Mr. Museveni's stolen vote. You NUP leaders. But we are not scared. We are not scared. Because you don't say anything. Museveni he has been trying to implicate National Unity Platform into terror plots, into terror activities, into insurgencies. ASP Asime emphasized is that today or tomorrow or the following day, Mr. Museveni, he is going to start an insurgence on the bordering areas of Congo and Uganda. That is Kasese. To pay them for having rejected him through a ballot box. And to reawaken the so-called ADF parliamentarians. You don't say anything about these things. You are saying it sounds to be, unauthentic, but it's real. It is real. It is real. It is real. It is real. Why are you saying that you must stay speaking politically correct in perception? That is what holds you in bondage with the dictatorship. To be perceived politically correct, that is the bondage that bounds you to unify with the voice with the people of the Republic of Uganda. Till I said to you, His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, during the session of question and answer at the University of Washington, D.C., School of International Relations and Democratic Affairs, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu indicated that it is this sense of hypocrisy that was revealed by the so-called Uganda Inter-Religious Council. Brothers and sisters, they informed the general public on a national TV that what took them to Kyagulanyi Ssentamu's residence was to stand in solidarity with the vulnerable, subdued Mama Babi Utungo, the First Lady, the wife of Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the legitimately elected President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. They said that they had gone there to comfort her, to give her hope, the sense of hope that comes with religion, right? That comes with the religion. But little did we know. And Mama Babi Utungo Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, being so kind, told us. She did not tell us what they had gone there for. But while in that session in Washington, D.C., Kyagulanyi Ssentamu informed the world what took the so-called Uganda Inter-Religious Council to his premises. They went there first to achieve two objectives. They went there to deliver Mr. Museveni's message that Kyagulanyi Ssentamu must not destabilize the country, and that Mr. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu must be willing to talk to Mr. Museveni. So prior to all of that, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu had decrypted the state, drafted narrative, and it was given in the hands of the Uganda Inter-Religious Council. And that narrative was to be amplified by mainstream media. So in curbing that to be perceived by the general public as a positive message from men of God, so we thought, Kyagulanyi Ssentamu summarized that narrative in a few sentences, whereby he stated, and I quote, there cannot be justice without peace, and there cannot be peace without justice. Therefore, calls for electoral justice must be louder than calls for false peace. Organize a free and fair election, then peace and the rest will come automatically. Simple and fair, right? So now, the dialogue which is being driven by religious council and amplified by mainstream media, it was a script Kyagulanyi Ssentamu foresaw, and that he came up with a remedy in those few poetic sentences, right? So now we see that the religious council, we thought it was taking that peace narrative, only to find out they had gone to intimidate and to coerce the lady, to force the husband. We all know that a woman can make a man to make a right decision or a wrong decision. But Babi Utungo Kyagulanyi Ssentamu concealed. The so-called men of God told her, but rather she chose to publicize her mindset in respect to the intimidation from the men of God and from their demonic father whom they serve silently. She stated candidly, unequivocally, is that my husband, if I'm the one to get you out of your concealment, do not think of it, because I am equally as concerned as you are pertaining the restoration of matters of leadership, right? She did not wail. She did not wail like Nyans did when his DR forms were taken. No, he did not. He did not go down to her knees, that begging these so-called people in cap and gown. No, she did not beg, she did not cry, but she stood her ground, being a mother. And have seen all of that. All of that. Religious council is in connivance with Mr. Museveni to torture people psychologically and physically. Why would a religious council? We all know that religious in our midst, this is man's intuition realization. The presence of God Almighty and the acceptance of His benevolence in life. That is religion, right? So in religion, there are individuals who are meant to shepherd the practicing of the tenets of religion. These are theologians. So who is a theologian? A theologian is a man who attempts to ascribe names, characteristics, and qualities to a higher being of whom we call God or the universal mind. The one from whom all manifested things proceeded. So the religious people, these are the one who telling us to receive religion, and religion, it is our acknowledging of the presence of God, right? So by practicing religion, we get faith. We become faithful. And what is faith? According to me, faithful, it is that inherent energy in us, every individual, that is responsible to open the channels of communication with God. That is faith. It's the energy within us that opens the channels of communication with God. But it has to be polished by religion, and it has to be furnished by a theologian who teaches the tenets of religion, right? So if a theologian who is meant to shepherd the flock of God by polishing off the dust on that indwelling reality, which is the energy to create those channels or to open the channels in man to communicate with God. If this religious man is crooked, how about the one whose crookedness is being imparted? Now, do we wonder why the society is becoming more crooked? It is because of these religious leaders. Now, a man can tell you is that the lakes in Uganda are being polluted, and the rivers, its water is now stagnant. Tell me, how can the river of water flow when the men who are meant to shepherd the flocks of God are polluted in mind, and their hearts are clogged with the nastiness which beyond human comprehension? Tell me, if a man-made object can be as pollutant as a heart of a theologian who is crooked. Tell me, if CO2 emission can be as detrimental to nature as the heart of a theologian who stands at the altar to preach the word of God invertedly. Brothers and sisters, imagine the oxygen that he exhales. It pollutes the entire congregation in which he preaches, because his mind is crooked, but the words speaks nothing but the light. He does not embrace the light. He embraces darkness. Thus, if we serve God in the mind, This man is exhaling. It is so pollutant that his pollution surpasses the words, because the words goes through a filter, but the inhaling of a polluted oxygen or carbon dioxide by a pastor, it is more bad than a CO2 emitted by a muffler of a vehicle. So brothers and sisters, this man, Charles Peter Mayiga, is telling us the Roman history, the evolution of education. But he failed to tell us why is it the education of Uganda is degenerating as opposed to regenerating. No. It is because Mr. Museveni captured each and everything. It is because Mr. Museveni uses Charles Peter Mayiga as a proxy to fight a vendetta. It is because Mr. Museveni enforced a person who is not qualified to serve as the Minister of Education, Sports and Culture. That is the reason. So tell me, if to a radical mind as mine, if that by imposing Janete Museveni into the Minister of Education cannot make anybody to repudiate an education administered by such a crookedness, I myself, I repudiate the education of Uganda because of that. It does not make any sense that a curriculum drafted by a person who is ill-educated, not to say that she won't, formulate anything and it can be applied, tested, and added into the curriculum. But she did not do anything. What we know about her, it is the slaying of individuals whom she was suspecting to be sleeping with her husband. Joan Kagezi was killed. Joan Kagezi was killed on her order, Janete Museveni. Brain dead as we speak right now. Brain dead as we speak right now. But she has persecuted more than thousands of women. She has persecuted the children of mothers, the children of Uganda, through science, sterilizing young girls on grounds that they are immunizing cervical cancer, on grounds that they are immunizing cancer. Janete Museveni. Indeed, when I was growing up, there was a hip-hop star I used to follow a lot by the names of Guru. He said, it's lonely at the top in whatever you do. You always got to watch motherfuckers around you. Nobody's invisible. No plan is foolproof. We all must meet a moment of truth. The same shit the castle you hang with and do your thing. Could you set you up, break you up? Homie, what your language is universal. You play with fire, it may hurt you or burn you. Lessons are blessing, lessons used to learn through and face the fact. Even though behind the scene doesn't mean there is no data to trace back. That goes for all of us. Janete Museveni, it's lonely at the top in whatever you do. You confessed before your wicked daughter that we have everything, but what we lack is happiness and the joy of the soul. Right now, you are brain dead, wondering what you have done, wondering all the things you've done, wondering all the extortion of people's belongings. Hey, Janete Museveni, Mr. Museveni, Salimu Saleh, look at yourself. How many plates of food can you eat? You're sole creature, Salimu Saleh, heap of feces. How many plates of food can you eat? How many plates of food, Salimu Saleh, can you eat? You cannot even finish a full cup of milk. I doubt if you can in your state and health status, Mr. Salimu Saleh. You see, everything, space is just shrinking. What you thought you had accumulated, it is not yours. Mr. Salimu Saleh, it is not yours. Sir Francis Bacon told us it is not about what we eat, but what we digest makes us strong. How much do you digest, Salimu Saleh? How much do you digest? How much do you digest? It is not what you save makes you a rich man. Tell me, can you save when you're going 6 feet deep? Is that saving? Is that saving? Yet the law is still standing and is gonna question each and everything that say that this is mine, and I'm a son of Saleh, and I'm a son of Museveni, I'm a son of Geneti, I am a son of Lwabogo, I am a son of Kalujire, I am a son of Chiriwa Chiwanuka, I am a son of Andrew Mwenda, I am a son of this. You are all going to be arraigned into the tribunal of inquest. Sali Sudiri Rupereria, you are no exception. Kalimu Hiriji, you are no exception. Chirumira, all of you, you are no exception. You will tell the Ugandans, now we know how Museveni acquired the first head of cattle. Till I said to you, global citizens, Mr. Museveni, you stole 179 heads of cattle from 4 families. Those families, according to the explanation of ASP Asime, you went there at the age of 15 to ask for a job to be a shepherd of their flocks. And you were not known since you were staying in a refugee camp with your mother, Estelika Akakondeka. Mr. Museveni, you went and killed those individuals because they rejected to give you a job. Mr. Museveni, we told you, the more you climb, the more your balls are exposed to the core. The more you climb, the more your balls are exposed. Thus, there is no dignity left in you, Mr. Museveni. All the wealth you have, all the long-horned cattle you brag about on the continent of Africa, it is but a spoil. It is but a spoil, you filthy creature, poor in mind, tormented by ethnicity inferiority. Mr. Museveni, you will never take a thing. Look at your inept son, vulgarizing each and everything, because he was promised that Uganda was his to inherit. Oh, pathetic Muhoozi, look at you, vulgar swine. Vulgar swine, look at you, Muhoozi. You think you can inherit anything in Uganda? In Uganda? Are you a Ugandan? Are you a Ugandan? Were you born in Uganda? Whose great-great-grandchild are you in Uganda? Natasha, whose great-great-great-grandchild are you in Uganda? Museveni, where is the burial place of your grandfather? If you show us your grandfather, Museveni, you will get a tombstone in Uganda. Janet Museveni, if you show us, you will get a tombstone in Uganda. Other than that, till I said to you, we will exhume and we will smash the tombstone. The tombstone out of Uganda, according to what you have done to us. It is unthinkable that we can bear a tombstone that will be with your wicked bones. God of gods, Lord of lords, King of kings, your glorious throne, it is a generations and generations, Heavenly Father. Give us courage to overcome the obstacle that torments the continent of Africa, Heavenly Father. Give us, our leaders, courage to understand that it is God that exalts people. And we must accept God's decision. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu was selected by God. You leaders of Africa, accept that, so that the will of God may be manifested on the continent of Africa. We cannot afford to lose a younger, visionary leader on the continent of Africa. I beg to submit, fellow Africans, to you all leaders influential on the continent of Africa. Uganda is bleeding, but you're quiet.